So fasting is merely any time that you don't eat. So a standard fast, which everybody should be doing, should be 12 hours, which is sort of like you finish dinner at 7 at night and you eat breakfast at 7 a.m. That's a 12-hour fast. And that's where the word breakfast comes from. It's a meal that breaks your fast. You can't break your fast if you never fast. So therefore, the implication is that this is actually a part of everyday life. So you have to understand the body only exists in two sort of conditions. It's either in the fed state or the fasted state. So you're either eating, which is storing food energy, or you're fasting, which is you're burning food energy. It's one or the other, and you don't do both at the same time. You don't eat and burn fat at the same time, because when you eat, your body receives the instructions to store body fat because food energy is going in. So if you understand that, then you understand that, well, if you simply extend those fasting periods, then you allow your body to spend a little bit more time burning off that food energy, which is the sugar, which is making you sick and giving you diabetes, type 2 diabetes, or the fat that's sort of clogging up all your organs. You get fatty liver and fatty pancreas and all that sort of thing. So fasting is any time you don't eat. You can simply take that sort of normal 12-hour fast and extend it to, say, 16 hours, for example. So you eat everything within an 8-hour window, and that's called a 16-8. It's very popular, and that's done most days of the week. Another sort of popular sort of thing is to go to almost a 23 or 24-hour fast, which is a sort of one meal a day sort of idea. So if you go from lunch to lunch or dinner to dinner, that's about 23 hours, 24 hours in between the meals. The point is that you're only storing food energy for 1 hour of the day, and the other 23 hours, you're going to allow your body to essentially digest or burn off that sugar. And that's also a very powerful way to get your blood sugars down and lose weight. Then you can go longer and longer. So those are sort of the most popular sort of regimens, and certainly for older people, we would encourage people to use sort of a shorter fast. So the difference between fasting that was done sort of in the 70s, which actually had a few problems, was that they were doing these super long fasts, like 30, 60 days at a time, as opposed to, say, 24 hours, which is really just sort of dinner to dinner. You're still eating once a day. But you certainly can go longer if you want, but as you go longer, there's more power, but then there's also more risk. So you have to be more careful, for example, if you're on medications, if you're older, if you have any concerns about malnutrition or underweight, then you have to be a little bit more careful. But those are always options. You can go 3 days, 5 days without food. It's okay. The average weight loss, the actual fat loss, is actually only half a pound of fat per day of fasting. So you have to decide what you're going to do and why, and that's where having some guidance might be very helpful. So our program, for example, offers some guidance, but most people would do very well to start with some of the shorter fasts and then sort of dabble in with some of the longer fasts. And that's sort of the most important rule, the two most important rules of fasting, really. One is always be safe. So you want to make sure you speak to your doctor, you know what you're doing, and if at any time you don't feel well, you stop. So always be safe. That's number one. And the other one that's really important is to fit it into your life, because if you start doing a fasting schedule that really doesn't go along with your lifestyle, that's not going to last. So I had one fellow one time, he used to go out with his friends and have lunch, and he'd stop doing that to do the fast. I'm like, no. That's not the way it works. You do what you normally do, and you fit all the fasting around that. Because otherwise, if you cut yourself off from all your friends, you're not going to like it, and you're going to stop doing it. So it's not viable in the long term.